Hello everybody, it's Lori the Frugal Mom. I just figured I would come on to say hi and just to have a little chitty chatty. Alright, so there are some things I want to address and I want to get a little bit closer. I'm just kind of relaxing. I'll let you guys know that first. I'll update you on my health. So I am still following a soft low acid diet because my esophagus has to heal. Like I said, the brat diet, and someone had commented that I wouldn't be able to eat toast if I had an esophageal tear. Well, I don't toast it to death, and I'm dipping it in broth when I do have it. Mostly I'm eating yogurt, eggs, applesauce. I had a little bit of ice cream the other day. For some reason, vanilla ice cream always soothes my stomach. Cold cereal that I've let sit in the milk for a while. I'm starting to get hungry, so I guess that's good. It still hurts in here, but not nearly as much. Like at the beginning, it hurt all the way through. It felt like it was going from the front to the back, so that's a good sign. I'm also just sticking to drinking water and ginger ale, 1 can of ginger ale a day, and I only take a couple sips at a time because I know that the carbonation's not the greatest, and I try to get some of the carbonation out of it. My doctor said that that was fine if I find that the ginger ale is soothing, and I do. So I just have a couple sips, after I eat. I don't know why I'm nauseous so often. I really don't. I wish I did. So I guess we'll get to the bottom of that when I go see the GI. So, to address a couple of things that have been said. Yes, I started my own GoFundMe. And yes, I do have other income coming in. Now, I don't feel like I need to keep explaining this. It would be nice if people paid attention, or if they just weren't rude. Maybe realize that maybe they don't know the whole story like they think they do. First of all, you never know what someone's overhead is. That's to say, their monthly expenses. And you don't know my entire income, and you don't know everything that I'm taking care of on the fixed income that I have. So let's just start with that. And yes, I know that everything is very expensive for everyone, and a lot of people are struggling. I realize that. But having said that, as I explained, my son and I were pretty sick started with my son, from the week before Thanksgiving and then all the way until almost the end of December. And he is not the type that I can leave alone day in and day out because he's a teenager. I can leave him alone for part of the day, but he gets lonely, and he also will make a hot mess out of my house because he has ADHD and he doesn't like to be alone and he gets anxious. So, and if he's sick, he doesn't really quite know what to do for himself. And if he does, like I said, he kind of makes a mess. And he won't take his medicine as prescribed. He does take some medication for his mood disorders, so I have to make sure that I'm here to do all the motherly things, because that's what mothers do, especially if their kids are neurodivergent. So that's that. So I wasn't able to really work very much because both of us weren't feeling good. And when you have chronic illnesses of any kind, when you have a virus or cold or what have you, on top of that, it complicates things. So that's that. And if you're not living with any of this, count your blessings. I don't wish it on anyone. Don't be judgmental if you don't know, what someone's going through. It's really rude, and it shows that you're ignorant. And it's ugly. God don't like ugly. Okay? So, yes, we get Social Security. And again, I'm going to explain the differences, because you shouldn't talk without knowledge. You shouldn't speak without knowledge, rather. I have explained many times before, SSI and SSDI are two different things. SSI is a social program. It's meant for people who don't have enough enough funds in their Social Security account to provide them with monthly payments. Okay? And typically it's a lower amount than someone on SSDI would get. But that's not saying that the person on SSDI gets a whole gajillion dollars more. That's not the case. So, I worked from the time that I was 14 until, officially, let's see, it'll be 6 years in October of 2026. In the interim, from 2020 to now, I did a couple of different gig jobs. Okay? And I have explained that I can't do that on a regular basis because I never know how I'm going to feel. I try to do it, anywhere from 8 to 12 hours a week, and it greatly supplements my income. When I say greatly, I don't mean it's making me a millionaire. I mean, it's putting food on the table. It's, paying for clothes for my kids, my medications. Because truth be told, my SSDI payment and my son's, which he gets until he graduates from high school, I mean, between the two of them, after our rent is paid, that's pretty much it. And then we have my sister's SSI. I qualified for SSDI because I worked a very long time, for my age, okay? And so that's why I have the amount that I have. And like I said, it's not a lot. And of course, I would be making a lot more if I could still work in a gainful way. And I wish I could. I've said it many times before, I miss what I did. I've had to mourn the loss of who I was. I was always able to work more when I needed money, get another job, what have you. But now, my body won't allow me to do it. I use all of my resources. I apply for energy assistance. I don't get that much. I live in a very drafty apartment in a very old house. The walls are actually insulated with newspaper. And a lot of people will say, well, that's your choice. Actually, no, it's not. And I'm going to tell you why. Are you surprised? It's not my choice because I am low income. And when you're low income and you don't have a lot in reserve, you can't really move all that easily because all the down payments that are involved, you need to have a good credit score, and you need to have 3 times as much as the rent coming in each month. Okay? My credit score keeps recovering and then going back, covering and then going back. I don't have a lot of debt. I have a little bit of medical debt. I don't have credit card debt. I do use Afterpay, but that doesn't report to a credit agency. I don't want to have debt. I can't get a credit card without it being secured. I might look into doing that when I can to try to build my credit. I don't have an auto loan. I don't have any of that, so there's that. So I've been trying to get my credit score higher. And I just don't have 3 months of the outrageous rent that people are charging now. And really, I think that it's a matter of greed at this point. Because I have lived in this neighborhood now for, let me think, almost 23 years. And I know that there's inflation, but you cannot tell me that a 3-bedroom complete home with a yard and a driveway and either a shed or a garage is going to go from, let's see, in 2018, I was paying for, let's see, it was a small bungalow. I was paying $1,700 a month, and then we moved into a decent-sized 1,100 square foot 3-bedroom house, 1 bathroom, a shed, a yard, a front yard, a driveway, an attic for $1,900 with water included. That was the only thing. So you can't tell me that that size house now is magically worth, let's see, a good $1,500 to $1,600 more a month. It's not. And that's what it's like in my area, and I know that it's like that across many parts of the country. Um, we are a family of 4 most of the time. So I'm not going to squish us into a 2-bedroom apartment. I worked really hard all of my life to give my kids a good life. I know that in the coming year or so, I'm going to have to try to squish us into a 2-bedroom apartment. That doesn't sit too well with me. I feel bad. But even so, if I was to move into a 2-bedroom apartment, the rent would be the same because we moved into this apartment almost 5 years ago. So at that time, my rent has only been raised $100, thankfully. At that time, the rent was $2,500 for a place of this size. And like I've told you many times, it's not all that updated. It's not glamorous. It's not in the most pristine neighborhood, although there are nice things about this neighborhood. There are some things that aren't great. It's not always the safest, and some sketchy things happen. So would I like to move to a less expensive place? Sure I would. Some people say that I could, and it's my choice. There are no other less expensive places unless you want to live in a really horrible, unsafe place. I don't, okay? I don't want to put myself and my family at risk. I don't want to hear gunshots outside my living room window. I don't want to have to take a chance if I have to go to my car when it's still dark out in the early morning that something should happen to me, or my son can't ride his bike as he pleases. As it is, there's already been some issues with him, riding his bike and going to the park. I don't want to live that kind of existence, would you? And because somebody is poor, I don't consider myself poor. But because somebody's poor or low income, or however you want to put it, does anybody deserve to live like that? And the answer is, no, they don't. So get off your high horse. If you're up on your high horse. This is not meant for all of you. This is meant for the people who are nasty and cruel, and their comments have been deleted. I am going through a health crisis right now, and I don't deserve the cruelty. I don't deserve the rudeness. And sorry about that. I had to pause because Matt was coming down to get a snack. So again, I can't just move. And as everybody knows, utilities are through the roof. And especially if you live in a drafty place. To give you an idea, we had a really, really, really bad cold snap that came through about a week ago. And when it was below 0 outside, it was only 60 degrees in here. And that was with my heat on like 75. So I knew I couldn't afford to pump it any higher. And even if I did, it wouldn't make a difference. So we were all bundled up, and I was using space heaters, which made it a little bit better. And I was doing a lot of cooking that required me to use the oven. So yeah. So, to give you an idea, my gas bill was like almost $400 last month. I can't afford that. The delivery charge is what takes up most of it. Really just can't afford that. I know none of us can. I'm trying my best, but I'm a little bit behind. And my electric bill I'm still paying it off from last summer because, again, the delivery cost is really high. My bills for this last summer were over $400, sometimes almost $500 for the 2 hottest months. And no, I can't make it higher because the temperature higher because we're not insulated. I need it to be cool in here. I need it to be 68, no more than 70 degrees in here because I have a lot of health problems and the heat makes it worse. So I've got to do what I've got to do. And nobody's going crazy using electric. We don't leave electric on all over our house all day and all night. Just normal electric use. And nobody's going on a shopping spree and spending endless money. Most of what I do buy is secondhand. Or I buy it extremely discounted on sale, and I save for it. I budget for my son's clothes, my daughter's clothes, any clothes for my sister and I. That's just what I do, and I've been doing it my whole life. I don't buy that many groceries. I get a lot of my food from the food pantries. So it's not like I'm irresponsible. So the money that I did raise through the GoFundMe, it's going to go to my bills. Oh, that's another thing. My car insurance has gone up. It's ridiculous. And I know everybody's has too, but when you're on a fixed income, fixed means it ain't going to get any higher. Maybe you're going to get, $30 a month at the beginning of the year. But that $30 a month is taken up by all the increases and everything else, and it's just not enough to keep up. So there's that. And if I'm not able to work my gig jobs, then I have no additional income coming in to meet those increased costs. Okay? So that's why I did the GoFundMe, and I didn't ask for a ginormous amount. I didn't. I mean, who are you guys to be critical of me when I see people like posting GoFundMes for like to raise funds either for vacations or, to pay for like cheerleading tournaments and sports tournaments and things like that. Like, okay, that's fine. And if you want to help somebody's kid go to a cheerleading tournament, okay, I'm not saying that that's not important, but I mean, like, we're a family and we need help. And, I have always done what I can in my life to help other people. I've given food out of my own pantry and freezers. I've gone to food pantries for people who are in need. I've given clothes to children. I've helped fund Christmases for people. I've helped some people pay bills when I could. I fundraised for people. I have donated to GoFundMes and various other fundraisers to help people and animals. I work with a feral cat rescue. So for people to insinuate that I'm getting all this money coming in every month and then I'm trying to like fraud people and these people trying to shame me, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say it. If you don't want to donate or share my GoFundMe, don't. I will be taking it down once all the funds that have been donated were clear, and that can take anywhere up to 10 days. I have updated that if anybody's looked at it. And I kind of feel like, sometimes when I donate to these things, I only have $5, maybe $10 to give, but I have always felt that God put us all here to take care of each other. And most people piss away more than $5 a day. So, if I had a choice whether to go buy a $5 coffee each day, which is something I can't afford, or to help somebody with that money, I'm going to choose to help somebody. So I figured if somebody was so inclined and, if enough people did that, then that would add up to be a lot. And I also feel that when a lot of people do just a little bit, it adds up to be a lot. And I always taught my children that there is no too little to help someone. You do as much as you can do to help, either financially, bringing somebody a meal, giving them a call to lift their spirits, donating a service that you can do for them in their time of need. When did people become so cold-hearted? So, and you all know, I have never posted and asked for money ever. And I even said, if you can't donate, that's fine. Just share it. And if you don't feel comfortable sharing it, just scroll on. Please, I don't like the ugliness and the meanness that it seems there's so much of in this world today. I don't. It makes me sick to my stomach, and that's something that I don't need. I'm also feeling very lonely lately. It's hard to be sick and isolated. At least when I could work a couple times a week, I'd be out and amongst people more often. And my kids aren't always here, and my sister, she stays in her room a lot, and I do love my kitties, and I spend a lot of time with them. But I don't know, it's just I'm feeling kind of downhearted lately, and, making all those mean comments about my health and the GoFundMe and trying to make me feel ashamed, that certainly didn't help. Like I said, I'm just feeling very down, and I'm trying to uplift myself, and I'll continue to uplift those of you who need it. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things that I would like to do in my house, housekeeping wise, that I'm having to do either very slowly or just wait. Unfortunately, I don't get a whole lot of help in the house, so it is just on me. So I'm hoping to rebuild and have more energy soon so I can take care of the things I need to take care of, because that gets me down too. But I'm only human and I can only do what I can do, right? I'm going to be going to the food pantry tomorrow morning to get a little bit more meat, hopefully, and some other things that we need. And then there's a big one on Saturday morning. You know, like I had kind of backed off a little bit for the past like 6 months and only went sporadically, but I'm really trying not to spend any money on groceries at all, just to get us through these couple of weeks and to catch up some of these bills. You know, nobody's going to rescue me, so I've got to do it myself, you know, and use all my resources. And I do thank all of you who have sent warm wishes, prayers, and who did contribute or shared my GoFundMe. It means a lot to me. And to my new subscribers, thank you very much. And I know one of you, I think it was Sherry, she was kind enough to buy me a coffee. Thank you so much, my dear. I appreciate it very much. And thank you always for all of your kind words, Sherry. I appreciate that too. I feel that as a community, if any of us are in the same boat, there's no reason for us all to feel lonely. We could keep each other company, right? So I hope that all of you are well, and I hope nobody reacts poorly to this. I look forward to getting back to my regular videos, sharing housekeeping tips and lots of frugal cooking soon. I probably won't post what I got from the food pantry tomorrow because it's quite an undertaking and I just need to get it away. If I feel well enough, I will. And I will talk to you guys again. Thanks for listening to my chitty chatty. So have a pleasant evening. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.